Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
Today we welcome in our very own JP Finlay, of course, host of B. Mitch and Finlay over on 106.7 The Fan, which you can also listen to live on the free Odyssey app, NBC4 as well. JP, what's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. So when you guys got into the press room today, did you have any inclination that Dan Quinn was about to tell you that what you heard about Noah Brown? Like, were there any rumblings of anything?
Yeah, I haven't said this yet, but I'll say it now. I knew that he was – I didn't see the ambulance move, but I know there was an ambulance involved last Sunday after the Titans game. And I knew – I had heard some players were like, damn, I don't know what that's about. And then the reality, and you know how this goes, with Crowder's injury – like him being on IR the last few weeks, he's been healthy for a few weeks. They were just kind of those are just like the roster machinations you use late in an NFL season where it's like, we obviously want Jameson around. We don't have a spot for him right now, so we're just going to leave him on the IR. And when I saw they opened Crowder's window Monday, I was like, something – I had no idea the severity, likely out for the season, all that. I did not know. But I said on the air yesterday with B. Mitch, I was like, we need to get some answers on this Noah Brown thing because it's a very serious – I'm very curious what was going on. So, yes, did I have an inkling? Yes, especially when I saw the Crowder move. Did I know the extent of what was going to happen? No.
Gotcha. So that is good. Definitely good context. I don't remember like hearing much, but also your brain goes into bye week mode so instantly. And that game at this point was, over a week ago. And it's like, oh yeah, I guess he did leave. That did happen. So obviously not only did they open Crowder's window, but today we get the news that KJ Osborn has been claimed from the Patriots. How much do we know at this point about how they handle that transition and whether, it's Crowder this weekend and then Osborn eventually or what they do at that wide receiver position?
Well, don't they have to? They have to put Osborn on the active.
Yeah, he'll go on the active, and obviously they have to do that by the weekend. So they've got a couple days to figure it out. They don't have to immediately cut someone. And they, for all we know, there's another IR. Like, we could have another, like, hey, it's Saturday, and there goes another Rivera draft pick, and Phil Mathis gets cut this weekend. Like, who knows? But there's, I guess if Crowder's window opened Monday, they'll have 21 days for that. But I also wonder, like, how quickly they can get Osborn up to speed versus Crowder, who they have, has been practicing or whatever, or has been in the meetings and stuff all year.
Yeah, I mean, those are all real good, fair questions. I think with Osborn, he is a vet that's been in the league and has had some level of productivity in the league. And I think, sometimes with wideouts, they can probably pick up an offense. Yes, you got to learn like the specific vernacular. But I'm not sure for this weekend how it will go. But at some point, you do have a little bit of a roster squeeze, especially if you're trying to bring Crowder back. More importantly, the Noah Brown loss on its own is a factor. It's your third leading receiver. It's your second leading wide receiver. It goes Terry Ertz, Noah. He's playing 56% of the snaps offensively, so there's going to be work for other players. But if you consider they've now lost Brown and Eckler, I mean, that's almost 1,100 yards of offense from this team that's gone. I think it's about 10 touchdowns. It's gone. And I think what they had been really good at is like manufacturing other ways of getting the productivity. And I kind of think that's what's got to happen here. The guy I look to, it's not so much the wideout position. I think you run more 12 personnel, and I think you got to get Sennett on the field more, and you got to get him more looks. I don't know what I don't know if Luke or Diami or even OZ gets more work out of this, but I think you got to try to manufacture this thing now. I think this may sound crazy. I think you run the ball even more. Ideally, if the game situation works for you. Like B-Rob hasn't had like a 25, 23 carry game. I think you got to lean on him. I mean, these guys, he was like laughing and joking. Like he seems fresh. You know, I think you've got to try to manufacture the productivity now, because I think Crowder can hit the ground running for you, and he helps you at punt return if you're still kind of nervous about OZ. But if you're able to sign Osborn on December 12th or whatever, the odds of him coming in and giving you 6 for 65 just aren't that high.
Not this weekend. I do wonder if, like, by the Atlanta game, though, they can get him up to speed. He is a guy, like, his 3 years at Minnesota, he caught a lot of balls. Like, he was, or 2 of the 3 years, like 55, 60 balls. His rookie year, he barely played. His last year, he fell off a little bit, and obviously he's been a non-factor. But, like, he could play for sure. And then, you know, the guy that I'm actually curious about, I'm glad you mentioned Sinnott, because, like, he is a second-round pick who's got some juice to him. And I do wonder, or I do feel like there's more juice to squeeze, to just continue that analogy there with some of their 12 personnel stuff, how much they've done it. They can, you know, now break some tendencies they've had that are pretty significant in some of those 12 personnel packages where they run the mess out of the ball, especially when it's 12 personnel with Sinnott and Bates. Like, just let Sinnott go run routes out of that and see what happens. But Luke McCaffrey has also quietly had I don't know what to call it here. Like, it's not good because there hasn't been a ton of production, but, like, he's been open and he's just later in progressions and is kind of doing his job. And if Jaden had, you know, gotten farther into the progression because he needed to, that guys earlier weren't open, he'd probably have twice the catches this year. How do you feel about Luke's development, and what do you hear around the building as you talk to folks about McCaffrey and where he's at this stage of his rookie year?
Everybody loves him, works his ass off. I mean, really, really well liked, respected. You know, some of the stuff with Jaden, it shouldn't be a surprise for a rookie, but there are times where he uses his legs, and maybe if he keeps his eyes downfield, he could connect for a big play. Maybe, honestly, New Orleans is awful at that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Jameis Winston hit him for 2 touchdowns off broken plays. Maybe that's the kind of thing that happens this week. New Orleans is really bad against mobile quarterbacks. I think this could be a big Jaden week. I don't. The Luke thing is interesting. I think Denton does a bit where he's bet on him to hit an anytime touchdown like every week, and now it's up to like plus 1,000 because there's just no production. What I know though, Craig, is, dude, it's week 15, and you got a pair of Friday night draft picks that it's like, all right, fellas, you both don't have to step up. That'd be great, but at least one of you needs to emerge over these last 4 games between Sinnott and McCaffrey, I think.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like McCaffrey is definitely an upside play to an extent because he was playing quarterback 2 years ago. But at the same time, like, you still draft, if he's that much of a project, then he should be a 5th-round pick, not a 3rd-round pick. And same thing for Sinnott. Like, yeah, okay, we understand kind of what you are and that you have your limitations. And it seems like there's enough mental mistakes that I feel like there's a trust thing there. But, like, if you are, to your point, if you're a Friday pick, especially if you're a 2nd-rounder, like, at some point it's time to stop making those mistakes and get on with it. Especially, I feel like, in an offense that's really not that difficult to learn as far as NFL offenses go.
Yeah, I think, what's interesting is with Luke, he's there. Like, you wonder if the targets will increase, right? With Sinnott, you wonder if the snaps will increase. John Bates is not, like, going to be a fan favorite because he's never going to matter in fantasy or any of that. But he provides a level of certainty that I think every offensive coordinator in the NFL would love. It just, what he's going to give you. He's a really tough edge-setting tight end. He blocks like crazy. Really physical, hard worker. And I get they don't want to take him off the field with Ertz, but, like, I don't know. I think the Sinnott piece is more on coaching, because if you just look at his snap counts of the 3 tight ends, it's obviously the lowest. I think, though, Zach Ertz has great hands, runs great routes, undoubtedly. But Sinnott's the only one that I think gives you big play potential of those 3. And you might need it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And, Ertz is just not, like, he'll get open all the time. the thing with Bates is, like, he'll go down and block a 3 technique. Like, he'll go and smash a defensive tackle on a wham play, and you're like,
he's crazy, dude.
Like, that's cool. Oh, he wants to fight a defensive lineman. That's cool. And Sinnott, Sinnott is a good blocker, but he cannot, like, I'd rather have Ben Sinnott clearing out a corner when Jade pulls it on the edge, which he's buried a couple guys this year on some big stuff, versus whamming a 3 technique, which I know is like football nerdy stuff, but it's fairly significant in terms of getting the run game going specifically. Defensively is the other big question for the week, and I've kind of asked everybody this, and I feel like we're all spitballing. I'm not sure if DQ addressed this today, and I'm sure Joe Witt will sidestep it tomorrow, but we have reached Marshon Lattimore week, which the question is then, what do you do on the other side? Is it St. Juice? Is it St. Still? Is it some rotation? Is it, Igbenogany inside? Is it St. Still? What do we know at this point, and what's your best guess based off what we know?
Nobody would really talk. Nobody gave us much insight today. We thought Lattimore was about to talk, and then he's like, sorry, I got to go do treatment, and he left the locker room. Mikey is too smart. I kind of thought I got him to say something, and he's like, yeah, we'll see what the coaches tell us. So as far as like direct insight from a player or a coach, we got none of it. Interestingly, I can't remember which receiver it was. Obviously, with the Noah Brown stuff, we wanted to talk to all the receivers today. And one of the receivers we also asked, I think it was Diami, asked him about going up against Lattimore, and he's like, yeah, that's a guy that allows you to play a lot more man. I think that's a fairly obvious expectation with a guy of his caliber, coming on. DQ said it is pretty rare to add a player of this caliber this late in the season. Like, it generally just doesn't happen, and it will allow them to try some really different things. The specifics to who, I don't know. And honestly, the who has gotten pretty weird in the secondary over the last month anyway, 6 weeks, or changed a lot anyway. And I kind of expect that to continue. Because even when you get Lattimore out there, I imagine they're going to kind of have to figure out what to do opposite him. We know Samerstill is going to be out there. The question I guess you're asking is, does Mikey come back to the slot? Is it BSJ over there? Is it Mike Davis? Igbenogany? Those are the questions that remain, I guess.
Right.
But I do think it allows them to play different coverages.
I do too, and I do feel like there'll be some level of rotation, and maybe if one of those guys starts standing out. But, for all the bad rep that BSJ has gotten for some huge mistakes in big spots, like the last time out, he played pretty well, and Sainer still gave up 100 yards. So that was less than ideal. Igbenogany has had some fantastic games, is really physical against the run. He's also had some absolute bomb scares. And so I think that's the hard thing is, like, which guy do you trust on a weekly basis, knowing that you can give that guy more help too? Because that's the other part of this is, like, you can take resources you used to have to disperse and just go, Marshon's over there, he's fine. Everybody else, you focus over here, and that can make any of those 3 guys better.
I totally agree. If you're able to, it's not a very complicated concept. If you can really count on one guy to lock down a side of the field, then you can devote more resources the other way. And I don't know how big of a test this Saints pass game is, both with their quarterback situation. It's bizarre. We still don't know who it is going to be starting. Because it's not like, it'd be one thing if it was just an injury thing, like, oh, they're just not sure Carr can go, but they're not sure Carr can go, and they're not sure who they want to make the backup. Like, it's just bizarre. But you've got questions at quarterback, and Kamara's a really good player, but, like, if Olave was still healthy for them or something, but, dude, there's serious passing threats coming between Kirk and the Falcons, and then Philly, and even CeeDee Lamb late in the year. So this is a very good game to try to get your feet wet and understand how this new secondary is going to work.
No doubt. The Philly's passing game is weird, but it's potent. And same, I think it's the same but different, and different stylistically for Atlanta. And then as you mentioned, CD and Dallas already beat them once, so they'll have their attention there. Last thing for you, JP, is JP Finlay, host B. Mitch and Finlay, with us here on the Hoffman Show. Of course, you can listen to JP and Brian 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. over on 106.7 The Fan. Is just kind of the general mood in the locker room today with the Noah news. It's obviously something they've probably known about, and some of those guys are real close, and Terry and Noah go back to Ohio State, the whole deal. I mean, DQ just being like, when he had that, I still haven't seen the clip, but we played the audio of it, when he's like, man, we love that guy. Like, that sounded so sincere. There's real pain in his voice. So as you talk to guys in the locker room today about Noah's situation, what were those conversations like?
Yeah, man, I think there was some serious concern for his health and safety for a period there. And I think there's a lot of relief of that he's okay, and things are moving forward, and I think that was a real thing. And now, dude, I know that it sounds so cliche for the audience, but football truly is a game where in a locker room the threat of injury is so real and so constant that it is, when a guy goes down, you gotta just kind of keep it moving. And that could change a little if it's an all-pro or an all-pro type player or a quarterback or something, where it really impacts the locker room. But, dude, like, Noah Brown's a good player. He's second wide out. Okay, let's see what Diami's got. And everybody just kind of moves forward.
Yeah, it's a survival mechanism, because if you think about it too long, you're like, why am I doing this?
The only way they can operate.
Yeah, why the hell would I do this if that's what's going on to the guy that does the same exact thing I do for the same team and played in the same game? I think that's well put. JP, always appreciate it, man. Have a good one, and we'll see you and talk to you here soon.
Anthony's upset he can't go to the work Christmas party. I thought I should let you know that.
Oh, well, we'll deal with that. I mean, someone's got to do a show till 7, and apparently it's us. Not all of us can be done at 2 every day.
I got to go to a show at 8:30, bro.
That's
you can
true.
Watch on the NBC Washington app.
Hey, you get that TV money, though. And let's be real. TV money, greater than signed radio money. We don't have to get into it too deep, but just so folks know.
Goodbye.
See you, pal. See, that's what he gets that's what he gets for bringing that up, Anthony. See, I got your back. I made him real uncomfortable.
I thought I was confiding in JP when I told him I was a little upset, but he wanted to let the world know.
And here's the thing: you and I, same team.
Yes,
it's the Hoffman Show team right here, inseparable. Don't mess with us. Otherwise, I'll talk about how the fact that you got that TV money, and I mean, really, that's not really an insult. Like, good for JP.
Yeah,
I'm not mad about it. I don't get mad over other people's money.
Nope.
Anyone wants to give me TV money, like, we can talk.
Donate $1.
TV money is more like $2. That's kind of the point.
Or $3.
Yeah, something like that. All right.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.